Let me ask you something. What if changing your outfit could change your life? Sounds superficial, doesn't it? But pause for a second. Every day, before you open your mouth, shake a hand or prove your worth. Someone sees you, and in that tiny moment before you even speak, they've already decided something about you. This isn't just about looking sharp, it's about energy, about how you show up for the world and for yourself. From ancient Stoics to modern neuroscience, one truth echoes. How you carry yourself changes how others treat you and how you treat yourself. Today's video dives deep into the psychology, the energy, and the very Stoic philosophy behind appearance. We'll explore what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus might say about your wardrobe. I'll even share a few real-world stories that prove this isn't fluff, it's real life. So if you've ever thought I'm not materialistic, I don't care what I wear, this video might just surprise you. Stick around till the end, because we're not just talking about clothes. We're talking about personal power and how to turn the everyday act of getting dressed into an act of self-respect. One, the Stoic case for dressing with intention. In the modern world, where chaos seems to call from every screen, every scroll, and every shiny new distraction, the teachings of the Stoics offer a kind of quiet defiance. They tell us focus only on what you can control, and few things are as consistently within your control as how you show up in the world, how you speak, how you behave, and yes, how you dress. Let's be clear, Stoicism is not about vanity. It's not about chasing trends or obsessing over designer labels. It's about congruence, about alignment, about making sure that your outer world reflects the discipline and clarity of your inner world. Look at the great Stoics themselves. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, didn't live like a flashy king, but neither did he walk around looking disheveled. His role demanded presence, and his appearance was a part of that. Seneca was a statesman, a philosopher, and a teacher. He understood the value of order and balance, both in speech and in self-presentation. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that dignity isn't granted, it's chosen. It's something you uphold, regardless of your status or station. Now imagine for a moment walking into a room full of strangers. You don't get to introduce yourself. You don't get to say a word. All they see is you, your posture, your expression, and yes, your clothes. Whether you like it or not, they're already drawing conclusions. First impressions are brutal in how fast they form and how long they last. But here's the Stoic angle. It's not about impressing people. It's about respecting yourself. Dressing with care is a form of self-respect. It's not about being the best dressed person in the room. It's about being the most intentional version of yourself. When you choose clothes that are clean fitted and appropriate, you're telling yourself, I'm worth the effort. You're reinforcing the belief that you are a person of order, of clarity, of self-discipline. And that belief, it radiates. People respond differently to someone who looks like they take themselves seriously. Not because they're shallow, but because we're wired that way. Our brains are constantly scanning for signals, and appearance is one of the fastest, loudest signals we give off. Now, I know what some people will say, I don't want to care about shallow things like clothes. I care about what's inside. That's noble. But here's the hard truth. If what's inside is truly valuable, why would you package it carelessly? If you wrote a brilliant book, would you bind it in torn pages and a stained cover? The Stoics taught that virtue is what matters most, but they also believed in stewardship. If you have a body, you maintain it. If you have a home, you care for it. If you have a role to play in the world, you wear that role with pride, even if it means putting on a clean shirt and combing your hair and showing up as if it matters, because it does. Let me put it this way. Your appearance isn't just how you look, it's how you lead. It sets the tone for how others interact with you. It sets the tone for how you interact with the world. And more importantly, it shapes your state of mind. When you dress with intention, you feel more intentional. When you show up looking ready, you're more likely to be ready. There's a subtle power in that, a quiet kind of armor. And let's be honest, life throws enough challenges your way already. Why not stack the odds in your favor? Why not step into each day with a mindset and an appearance that says, I am here, I am steady, I am aligned with who I want to be. In that way, dressing with care becomes a Stoic ritual, not a shallow performance, a daily reminder of who you are and who you're becoming. So the next time you're tempted to say, it doesn't matter what I wear, stop. Ask yourself instead, what kind of energy do I want to carry into the world today? Because the truth is, you don't dress to impress others. You dress to express your character. And that's Stoic. To your appearance, Jatra, your energy field. We've all heard the phrase, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, but let me offer you a deeper thought, one rooted not just in social psychology, but in how energy itself operates. Your appearance is part of your energy field. It's not just fabric and thread. What you wear carries intention. It broadcasts something before you say a single word. In fact, your clothes may speak louder than your voice ever does in that first instant. This isn't some mystical concept. It's human biology and psychology at work. We're constantly picking up on signals, posture, color, symmetry, motion. We instinctively assess who is confident, who is reliable, who is approachable, and who isn't. And your appearance, it's the carrier wave for all of that. Let me tell you a real story. There was a man named Mark in Phoenix, Arizona. Once a successful contractor, he lost everything in the 2008 crash house job. Even his family fell apart. He ended up living in his car for nearly 2 years. One day, a local nonprofit doing outreach offered him a shave, a haircut, and a second-hand but clean suit. He hesitated, said he wasn't ready, but they convinced him. That day, Mark said he felt like someone had turned the lights back on in his soul. He walked differently, talked differently. He applied for work the very next day, and within 2 weeks, he had a job as a site supervisor. Did the suit get him the job? No. But the suit unlocked something inside him. It reconnected him to his own potential. And that's the part people felt. Because here's the truth. Your clothes don't just influence how people see you. They influence how you see yourself. There's a term for this enclosed cognition. Psychologists coined it after an experiment where people wearing lab coats performed better on focus-based tasks only when they believed the coats symbolized intelligence and professionalism. When the same coat was described as a painter's smock, the effect disappeared. It's not just the fabric, it's the meaning attached to it, the belief it activates in your mind. Now ask yourself, what do your clothes make you believe about yourself? Do they remind you that you're capable? Or do they whisper that you've given up a little? Do they energize you, or do they quietly drag you down? The Stoics taught us to cultivate awareness of thoughts, emotions, and habits. So why not also be aware of what we wrap around our bodies every single day? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." I'd argue that your appearance is one of those thoughts externalized, a mirror of what you believe you're worthy of, a reflection of how much effort you're willing to invest in being your best self. And the most powerful part, this is something you can start changing immediately. You don't need money. You don't need to chase trends. You just need to be intentional. Iron your shirt, clean your shoes. Choose clothes that fit not just your body, but your identity. Not who you've been in the past, but who you want to grow into. You don't need to be flashy. You just need to be present. That presence, that sharp-centered energy, people feel it, they lean toward it, they respect it, and whether it's in a job interview, a first date, or a difficult conversation, that energy becomes your ally. It's not about impressing others, it's about showing up for yourself. When you look in the mirror and see someone who's trying someone who cares, it triggers momentum. You move with more purpose, you speak with more conviction, you handle setbacks with more grace, and others, whether they can explain it or not, sense that power. So remember this, your clothes are not costumes, they are tools. They're not a disguise, they're a declaration that you are alive, alert, and still in the fight. Dress like someone who still has a mission, because if you're watching this, I'd bet you do. And that's not just Stoic, that's powerful. 3-color fabric and frequency, the subtle language of what you wear. Have you ever put on a shirt and felt instantly different? Like it lifted your mood even just a little? That's not an accident. That's not superstition. It's energy. And the Stoics, even though they didn't use modern words like vibe or frequency, understood that everything in life has a certain rhythm, a certain tone. Your environment, your actions, even your words all carry weight, and your clothing, it's part of that field of influence. Let's break it down. First, color. Color is one of the oldest forms of communication in nature. A red sky warns of storms. A yellow flower signals ripeness. A dark shadow signals caution. Your brain is wired to interpret color emotionally and instantly. That's why color in clothing matters more than most people realize. Wearing red can make you feel more confident, more assertive. It's not just psychological, it actually raises your heart rate. Blue, on the other hand, calms the nervous system. It evokes trust, stability, and clarity. That's why so many banks, hospitals, and schools use blue tones. Green brings freshness. White brings a sense of new beginnings. And black, it carries weight, power, sometimes mystery. But too much black, especially without balance, can also feel heavy or isolating. Now, here's a Stoic take: color isn't about flash, it's about function. When used with wisdom, color becomes a tool to shift both how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Next, let's talk fabric. The fabric you wear is the material your body lives in. All day long, it moves with you, touches your skin, wraps around your breath. Natural fibers, cotton, linen, wool, breathe. They adjust with your body. They offer warmth or coolness as needed. And more than that, they often carry a sense of care, of grounding. They don't irritate your body or your mind. Synthetic fabrics, they can look sharp on the surface, but often trap heat, hold odor, or cause subtle discomfort over time. And discomfort, even at that quiet level, drains energy. It puts you on edge. It distracts you from presence. A Stoic strives for presence. So while Stoicism isn't about luxury, it is about discernment. And discernment means choosing what supports your clarity, not what simply catches the eye. And now we arrive at something even deeper in tension. Because when it comes to your wardrobe, how you wear something is often more important than what you wear. Have you ever seen someone in a basic white tee and jeans, but they looked magnetic? It's not the outfit, it's the energy they bring into it, the posture, the clean lines, the way everything fits, the absence of chaos, that quiet discipline, it draws people in. It's the same energy a Stoic carries in any setting. See, when you choose colors that resonate with your current goals, when you wear fabrics that allow you to breathe and stay focused, when you pick clothing that fits not just physically, but emotionally, you elevate your entire energetic state. And guess what? People feel it. You may not say a word, but others pick up on that frequency. They sense the sharpness, the centeredness, the readiness, and they respond. Let me give you a small personal example. Years ago, I used to work from home in sweatpants and old t-shirts. It was comfortable, sure, but I noticed something strange. I'd procrastinate more. I'd slouch at my desk. My ideas felt foggy. Then one day I started dressing like I was going to a meeting. Button-up shirt, clean jeans, decent shoes. No one else saw me, but I saw me. And everything changed. I spoke differently on calls. I held my spine straighter. I finished things faster, all because I stopped telling myself through my clothes that I didn't matter that day. That's the frequency we're talking about, not magic, just alignment. So if you've been overlooking color fabric or fit, stop. Because what you wear doesn't just cover you, it affects you. Your appearance is an extension of your intention, and your intention is what shapes your life. Choose clothes that support the version of you that you're becoming, not the version you've outgrown. Because in a world full of noise, a calm, clear presence, that's magnetic. And it starts with what you put on every morning. 4, why others respond differently to you. Let's be brutally honest for a second. We all like to believe we live in a world where people judge us by our character, our intentions, our intellect. And yes, sometimes they do. But before any of that, they judge your presence. Not your heart, not your values. Your presence. And your presence begins the moment you walk into a room. The way you carry yourself, the way you're dressed, your energy, your tone, whether you believe it or not, how you look affects how people treat you. That's just human psychology. And no amount of idealism can erase that reality. But here's the Stoic twist. That's not something to complain about. It's something to use. Because if your goal is to live a life of purpose, of virtue, of contribution, then the way people respond to you matters. It affects your relationships, your opportunities, your influence. And it starts with the signals you send through your appearance. I want you to think back to a time when you entered a room wearing something you felt amazing in. Maybe it was a fitted blazer, maybe it was just a shirt that sat perfectly on your shoulders. But the point is, you felt sharp, together, alive. Did people treat you differently? Probably. They listened a little more. They stood a little straighter. They noticed. Now contrast that with the time you ran to the store in worn-out clothes, hair a mess, shoes barely holding together. Ever notice how people avoid eye contact or treat you like you're invisible? It's not fair, but it's real. And Stoicism. Stoicism doesn't demand a fair world. It demands that we act wisely within the world as it is. So how do you want to be perceived? Because what you wear, how clean, tailored, and intentional it is, becomes part of your message, even in silence. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Jake, works in sales. A few years ago, he was constantly overlooked for the best clients. Not because of his skills, he was sharp, but he always dressed casually, rumpled shirts, scuffed sneakers. The clients he wanted were high-end, corporate executives. One day, his manager pulled him aside and said, "Jake, the clients don't trust what they can't relate to. They want someone who mirrors their world. Dress like you belong at the table." So Jake took the advice, got a decent suit, clean shoes, even adjusted his posture. The change immediate. His numbers doubled in 6 months. Now nothing in his pitch changed, but people responded differently. Why? Because he finally matched his outer image to the inner professionalism he already had. And that's the lesson. People don't just respond to who you are. They respond to who you appear to be. And this is important, this isn't about becoming fake. It's about becoming visible. If your values are solid, your skills are strong, and your intentions are good, and then why hide them behind sloppy signals? It's not vanity, it's clarity. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." To that I'd add, and look like one too. Because your appearance should support your mission, not sabotage it. There's power in showing up with intention. You create alignment between your actions, your energy, and your visual presence. And that alignment builds trust. It earns respect. It opens doors. Now look, you don't need to wear a suit every day. You don't need expensive clothes. But what you do need is effort. Clean lines, polished shoes, a choice, not an accident. Because when people see that you care, they start to care too. When you take yourself seriously, the world starts taking you seriously. And in a world full of noise, full of lazy signals and half-hearted effort, being someone who shows up sharp, present, and composed, that's rare, that's powerful. So, if you want people to respond differently to you, start by showing them someone worth responding to. Show them the version of you who's already walking the path. And trust that the rest will follow. 5, decluttering. declaring who you are. Let me tell you something personal. The first time I really cleaned out my closet, not just moved clothes around, but really got intentional, I ended up sitting on the floor surrounded by shirts, jackets, and memories. And I realized something. I wasn't just deciding what to keep. I was deciding who I wanted to become. That's what decluttering your wardrobe truly is. It's not about minimalism. It's not about style. It's a quiet, powerful act of identity clarification. And that, my friend, is deeply Stoic. You see, the ancient Stoics weren't hoarders. They believed in simplicity, not because it was fashionable, but because clarity of surroundings supports clarity of mind. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." But what about the man who clings to old versions of himself, to memories in cotton, to guilt in old jeans? That man's not free either. Let's look at your closet. How many of those clothes do you actually wear? How many of them represent who you are today and who you're trying to become? And how many are just silent reminders of who you used to be? That shirt you wore during a painful breakup, those pants that almost fit but never really will, the jacket you bought for someone else's approval. They're not just things, they hold energy. And every time you see them, even subconsciously, that energy speaks. Decluttering your wardrobe isn't just about tidying up. It's a reset, a chance to strip away what's no longer serving you so you can dress, move, and live with more purpose. It's spiritual hygiene. Let me offer you a Stoic reframing. Imagine your closet like your mind. Would you tolerate your thoughts being filled with clutter, with old regrets, with noise? Of course not. So why allow your physical space to carry that same chaos? There's a term I love: decision fatigue. Every morning when you face a packed closet filled with maybes, memories, and mismatches, you drain your focus before the day has even started. Now imagine waking up to a wardrobe that's lean, clean, and aligned with who you are today. You don't just get dressed, you step into your intention. That's power. That's presence. That's Stoicism in action. Because it's not about throwing everything away, it's about keeping only what supports your path. And let's go a layer deeper. What you choose to keep is a declaration. It says, "This is who I want to be. This is the kind of person I see myself becoming." When you choose clothes that fit well, that reflect your values, that feel good to wear, not because of brand or trend, but because of clarity, you're not following fashion. You're following virtue. Now, a word on old clothes that holds sentimental value. It's okay to keep a few things for memory's sake, but do it intentionally. Turn that shirt into a framed keepsake. Repurpose that dress into a throw pillow. Don't let it haunt your daily life from the back of a dusty shelf. Honor the past, but don't live in it. And finally, here's a practical challenge from me to you. After this video, go to your closet. Touch every item. Ask, does this reflect the best version of me? If it doesn't, let it go. Donate it, repurpose it, or simply thank it for its role in your story and move on. Because sometimes becoming your future self doesn't require more stuff. It just requires letting go of what no longer fits physically, mentally, emotionally. And when you do that, when your wardrobe reflects your values, when your space matches your soul, that's not just organization. That's transformation. That's the Stoic path.